Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at ComputerAmerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@ComputerAmerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and I hope all of you are having a great day as we have another program here lined up for you. And, you know, this is going to be a great one because we missed her dearly last month, and this month she joins us once again as a regular correspondent here on the Computer America Show. We have the one, the only, Sandy Berger. That's right, and she'll be joining us here in just a moment to talk all things, and I think she's right, this is a good time to really devote the entire show, or as much of it as we can possibly do, to the idea of digital assistants. They are, getting, I don't want to say out of hand. Out of hand implies that there's something wrong. They're getting more prolific, and, a lot of people are coming out with new ones. We even have Harman Kardon, of all people, actually coming out with their own sets. And, this is a very good time to talk about it. So, of course, we'll be doing just that. So, but before we introduce Sandy Berger, I have a few things I need to mention, including Computer America and ComputerAmerica.com. That is where you will find everything and anything for today's show, including a link to our guest website, including that and more. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun when we, it's going to be great when we finally get to it. And yeah, just one moment. Sorry, everyone. And yeah, there we go. So yeah, we're going to get everything that we talk about here on the show in the show notes. So if you're driving, if you're exercising, if you're doing whatever, and you want to check something out, head on over to our website, and you'll find it right there underneath today's show. Also, check out the live video stream where you can watch Computer America, not just listen. And, it's going to be just another way to experience the show. And we're going to be doing demonstrations, showing, the websites of the different products that we talk about, all that kind of thing. Very simple. And the last thing is our social media contest. Head on over right there, social media contest, enter to win. There's like 7 different ways to enter. And yeah, you can do all of them for 7 different chances to win. Very exciting. And yeah, hope all of you enter that. And, we are giving away the new M720 mouse. This is the M720 Triathlon Logitech mouse. Just released it, $50 value, and love giving that away. First week we're doing so, and yeah, check it all out at Computer America. So I think that's enough for the preamble. Why don't we just bring in our guest today? Because again, she is a regular on today's show, and this is Sandy Berger. She is, all things consumer electronics. She does a lot of reviews and things like that. And Sandy, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Ben. I'm really glad to be here with you.
Us too. Glad that you are feeling better. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, after being sick last month, I'm feeling much better.
Very good to hear, and excited to have you on because, you have, first for anyone out there, because this is going to be a comprehensive show. Sorry for anyone out there who maybe feels like they've heard this before, but why don't we do a quick overview of Sandy Berger and why you're qualified to talk about this, and then why don't we talk about your experience with connected devices and, what kind of interests you in them?
Yeah. First of all, my website is Compukiss.com, and that's where I have a lot of things, to help people. Basically, that's the idea: is keeping it short and simple to help other people, and to tell people what's going on in the world. Technology is moving so quickly now. I've been a tech journalist for years and years, and I've started off as a computer programmer, so I've been in all angles on all ends of the business. And I'll tell you, I have never seen things move as quickly as they are right now with the voice-activated digital assistants. And that's why I wanted to talk about that today. As you know, Ben, we've been talking for over a year about the Amazon Echo. I was
Mm-hmm.
one of the first people to get one. I loved it right from the start. I saw a lot of potential, and the Echo has lived up to that potential. Keeps getting better and better. There are very few things that you can purchase today where a year after you purchase it, they don't ask you to buy another version.
Right, yeah, and that is the great thing about these devices is that a lot of them you buy one and they're good and they continue to evolve after you buy them. But one thing that we're going to get into today a little bit later on is the fact that take Amazon Echo. They have the Echo, then they came out with the Dot, and now they have a number of different devices. So even if you don't have to upgrade, to get all the functionality, they are starting to diversify what a digital assistant looks like.
Right. And in your introduction, you were saying, well, you didn't think they were, what was the word you used? Not problematic, but something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there's they're everywhere, and I didn't want to imply that was a bad thing, but no, they're starting
Right.
to really they're starting to really gain some ground.
The word really is ubiquitous. They are becoming something that's going to be everywhere, not just in the home, but in your car, in your office, on your cell phone, all over the place. So it's very interesting technology. It's moving extremely quickly, and all the big guys are getting into it.
They certainly are, and I think we're going to dedicate today's show to the different options out there because I think there are, and you'll probably know this better than I do because actually now there's four now that Microsoft's looking to eye the market. But we're going to start with the Amazon and all of the different Amazon products, but there's different ecosystems. So why don't you go into a little bit about the idea of an ecosystem and what it
Okay.
is that Amazon is doing?
Well, what it is that each of these devices or each of these companies wants to be the one that controls your life, or that helps you in your life. And so they're vying against each other. This is absolutely wonderful for the consumer because it keeps prices down and keeps them improving these things, and that's why it's moving quite as quickly as it is. Um, and the other thing is, even though each of these, like Google Home will have its own ecosystem and Amazon will have its own ecosystem, they are starting to at least talk to each other or to be able to be using the same devices. So it's extremely interesting. Also, the other thing that's interesting is that you can get into this for a couple $100. Now, Ben, you're old enough to know, to remember when computers cost $3,000,
Oh yeah.
and that was the cheapest one you could purchase. So it's absolutely amazing that you can go out and buy an Amazon Echo Dot for $49 and actually get into it. And right now, it's even better than that. Amazon, to my surprise, Apple has allowed Amazon, I should say, to put their Amazon shopping app on the iPhone. So if you have an iPhone, you go not to the Alexa app, but to the Amazon shopping app.
Mm-hmm.
And at the top of the screen is a little microphone. Press the microphone, and Alexa will respond to you.
Very, very nice.
So it's, if you have an iPhone, basically it has the Alexa built into it, and you can do everything that you could do with Alexa. So you can order a pizza through her, you can ask her questions, you can play music. If you're on the same Wi-Fi system as your home devices, you can actually control your home devices with your iPhone. What that means is you don't even have to buy an Echo if you don't want to.
Yeah, well, and to that point, there are a number of them that I think one of them is going to fit your need if you are looking to really buy one, purchase one, and we're going to talk about a few here in a second. But it funny that you point out Apple. I mean, Apple and Amazon for the past couple of years they've been butting head to head.
Right,
Whereas like Apple TV wouldn't carry any form of Amazon Prime, the video store. Like,
right.
and just recently they allowed that. So it's nice to see them starting to work together. And you say they're also working together, kind of, with their digital assistants.
Well, what they're doing is they're starting to work together. And Because the companies that create digital devices or internet connected devices, be they light bulbs, switches, whatever they are starting to realize that they're going to have to support more than one. So, like Philips light bulbs, the Hue bulbs, they now support Apple HomeKit, so you can use Siri directly.
Hmm?
They support Amazon Echo, and they support the Google Home.
Not too bad.
So, yeah, and there's a lot of other like Samsung smart things that everybody is supporting. This is extremely nice because the devices, the ecosystems are different. The devices are different. And yet, if you pay $50 or $100 for one of these devices, and then the investment comes in, the light bulbs and switches and things like that, but you decide you don't like that device, you can change to the other device. And often, if you've purchased the right items, you don't even have to change any of the items you purchased.
Right. So, and I think this is a good time to jump into, before we get to even the Amazon devices that we have to talk about today, it's another good thing to talk about why someone would use a digital assistant. Because, if you are new to the idea and you think, well, I have a computer, I sit down at it, I check my email, why do I need a digital assistant? So, could you give some examples about why these things are why these things are so handy and why so many people seem to be picking up on the idea?
They are, I think they're selling like hotcakes. And the reason is that once you start using it, you realize how much easier it's made your life. And it's just little things, and you don't need the devices. Obviously, I can get up or I can find my remote control and turn my TV on. Okay. But I can also say, Alexa, turn the television on. What's easier? The second option is easier. Often, the remote control might be out of juice, or it might be stuck in a cushion of the sofa someplace. You have to go search for it. So it's just a whole lot easier to say, Alexa, do this for me, or Hey Google, do this for me. And that includes turning the lights on. I can leave as many different lights on in my house as I want. I can get into bed and say, Alexa, turn all the lights off, and she'll turn the lights off. If you have the door locks, she'll lock the doors and everything else to make that all worthwhile. It's just a matter of convenience for one.
Hmm.
The second thing is it's fun. I mean, and it puts internet searching at your fingertips. So the other day, you might know or remember that I'm a Cubs fan.
Hmm.
And the other day, the Cubs game went 18 innings, which they finally won in I think the 18th inning, which was
Wow.
great. But my thought was, well, have there been games that have gone longer than that? I was once at a 15 inning game, but that's the longest I've ever seen. And so I just went and actually asked Alexa, what's the longest baseball game in innings? And she didn't know. But I
Hmm.
asked Google Home and I got the answer. So that points out two things. Number one is how useful they can be,
Right.
and number two, that they are different,
Right.
that they do different things.
And I do, really, kind of appreciate that Google is, their search function, at least in your one instance, which is not, indicative of the entire system, but
Hmm.
Google is better at searching, whereas Amazon, I mean, I'm sure Amazon has purchasing all over Google. I mean, each one's going to have their strengths and weaknesses.
That's right.
So, and yeah, and so we obviously have a use case. These things are useful, and they're getting more and more useful by the day. I mean, that was our point a little bit earlier, was that you buy one, you invest in one, and they get better regardless. They are going to get better, because more companies, make it easier to order pizza, make it easier to lock your door, make it, they get better and better. So now we can talk about, some of the devices that are the digital assistant, because when you look at and again, if you're watching the video portion right now, there we go. Yeah, and if you're watching the video portion, if you just go to Amazon, we're going to start with Amazon because they seem to be the most prolific at the moment. They have, let's see, the Dot, Echo, Show, Look, and yeah, maybe I'm missing one, but they have about 5 different devices right there on their homepage. are all of these Alexa assistants, or what is the lineup from Amazon?
They are all Alexa assistants. They all basically do the same thing. So they answer questions, they tell jokes, they play games, they play music. They do all the things that you might expect from a digital assistant, and they control home devices, light bulbs, and all that. The smallest one is called the Echo Dot, and it's $49. The bigger Echo is 9 inches tall, so it's much taller. And that one is, I think, on sale for 149.
Yep. Yep.
They just lowered the price on that. I don't know if it's going to stay that low. I think it is probably, but anyway, for $149, you get the same thing that you get in the little one, except you get good speakers, surround speakers. With the little one, if you want to play music, you're going to have to hook it up to some other speakers, because it has its own speakers, but they're made for voice. They're not made for music.
Right.
Okay. So those are the two main things that they've had all along, or for a long time anyway.
Right.
Now the new one, two new ones. The first one is called Look, Echo Look, and Echo Look is very interesting device. It is tall, kind of tall, shapely little thing that can take selfie pictures, but full body pictures, and it automatically will blur the background so that you're taking a really good photo of yourself. And the idea is to take a picture of the outfit that you're wearing for the day, and maybe take another picture with, say, you want a different, what will this look like with the next jacket? And so you put a different jacket on, take another picture. You save all these pictures and compare them. It helps a woman with the question always comes up, gee, did I wear this last time I went to that place? Well, now you have some documentation of what you wore where, and all that. Now, when this first came out, it was just after April 1st, and I kind of thought, maybe is this an April Fool's joke?
Right.
I mean, it seemed so unusual. But then I started to investigate it a little bit, and it turns out that Amazon is right now on the verge of overtaking Macy's as the largest apparel producer,
Wow.
or seller, I should say.
Right.
And
And just real quick, I mean, if you're again watching the video, you can see they're kind of, they take pictures, and they have an example where they have a lady there standing there taking a picture, and they like this. They have just a dozen pictures of people in different wardrobes. So I guess they're just like you were implying there, they're looking to get people to think about Amazon and clothing together, I guess.
that's right.
Right.
That's right. And I can see its usefulness. I don't know that I'd want to pay $199 for it, but and everything that the regular Echoes. So it has Alexa built in, and she answers questions and does all that stuff. The next one, Echo Look, is available right now only by invitation.
Hmm.
And but what that means is they'll invite people, they'll try it out, it'll get a little better, and then in a few months it'll be announced for everyone. So the next one that they just announced is the Echo Show. And Echo Show is the same Alexa, but in an entirely new format. It is a smaller 7-inch screen. It's got a touch screen on it. So you're not just audio anymore. You can do everything audio, but it's got video too. So the uses are pretty obvious, and yet I think there's people going to find more and more uses for it as they go.
Right.
So you could say, Alexa, play a YouTube video for me on how to make pizza.
Mhm.
And you could see it right there on the screen. Okay. You can also do calling. So they say you're going to be able to call other Echo users and other Echo Show users and talk as you would video calling. So you can do video calling back and forth.
Right. I'm really hoping that they get Skype in on this, because Skype is, we're actually using it right now for this interview. But I think, because most people have a Windows machine, Skype comes native with Windows 10. I think a lot of people have a Skype account. So, like, I feel like if you limit it to strictly their own, again, the idea of the ecosystem, if you limit it strictly to Echo Show users, you're going to have a much smaller usage base.
Right. I believe that it will be a Skype or some sort of mechanism oriented so that you'll be able to call everybody. But
Right.
we'll know that when it comes out. And it comes out on June 28th, and it's going to be $199.
Yeah, $200. I mean, compare that to the the standalone unit, the Amazon Echo, not the Dot, but the tall one, which is 150. Well, now it used to be 180. How do you feel this fits in the how do you feel this fits in the lineup? Because it's probably the most expensive now, and well, tied with the look, but it's kind of, to me, seems like the most useful.
It is going to be the most useful because it'll be a baby monitor, and I think it's going to be expanded to, so it'll be like an intercom between rooms. They're already giving you a reduction of $100 if you buy two. So they're looking to sell you multiples. And you can see having this in the baby's room or having it in the kids' room, and you can use it to wake the kids up or whatever, call grandma. There's multiple uses here. Now, the only thing I don't like, and this is maybe just a personal thing,
Mm-hmm.
but when you look at it, if you have it up there on the screen,
I do.
when you look at the Echo Show, it looks like we've gone backwards technology-wise. It's a 7-inch touch screen, which is great, but it's got a big bezel on it, and it's got a speaker underneath it. And after we're used to these cell phones, which are all screen and really cool, this looks like it's gone backwards in the technology, and that's just looks.
And I tried to put my finger on it yesterday when we, kind of lightly touched on it, but it kind of looks like it belongs in the center console of a car because it looks so bulky and squarish and blockish. Like, I don't know, I couldn't put my finger on it, but you're right. It does, compared to smartphones and televisions in general, getting small, lighter bezel,
Smaller, thinner,
thinner, and this is everything but everything but what we were used to seeing.
Now, that's maybe not bad. I mean, for an item that you're going to have on your table and it's going to get knocked off by the kids, et cetera, et cetera, maybe it's a good thing that it's so bulky looking. Um, I don't know until I get it in my hands. I'm not going to know exactly how it's going to pan out, but it seems like it's going to be really good. And then when you consider that it is $199, no,
No,
no, 229.
229,
It's
right?
$229. But when you look at these really spiffy cell phones and you realize that they cost $600, then 200 doesn't sound so bad.
Right.
And you might be willing to take a technology that's not quite as spiffy as the new cell phones.
It's really going to come down to just how does it sound, because they have kind of some diagrams here, and we're mentioning it's not so bulky. They're kind of showing little diagrams that have pretty robust looking speakers with some bass in them as well. It's really gonna have to depend on how it sounds, how good the microphone, how good is this device, and like you said, this summer we'll find out.
Exactly. And not only how good it sounds, but how good it listens.
That too.
In other words, how far away can you be? The one thing that's nice about the Echo now is it's a surround sound speaker system. So you can place it in the middle of the room and hear it anywhere, and it can hear you from anywhere. It seems like you might be losing a little bit of that with this device because the speakers are in front, and I don't know. I don't know how it's going to sound or how
Right.
it's going to listen.
Right, but as you can see, if you go on over to the Amazon website, they have a number of companies already, ready to work with this thing, including things like Ring, Arlo. Arlo we just had on the show a little while ago. It's a little self-plug there. But Wink, Ecobee, they and of course Philips Hue. So, and then again, I think all those still work with the other Amazon devices. But again, this time, the special thing is the screen. You're going to be able to see your front door camera. You're going to be able to see your security cameras.
That's
it's
right.
it's different.
That's right. And there's going to be times when that comes in very handy. Like I said, like to bring up a YouTube video, you're going to be able to see the lyrics of a song, which I think is pretty cool because there's a lot of songs that I can't quite understand what they're saying. So I kind of like that idea of being able to look at the words. And I know I've looked at French songs on YouTube videos,
Hmm.
and some of them have the lyrics on the screen. And if you're in a foreign language and you're trying to figure out what they're saying, it's even better to have the lyrics. So now you'll have that right in front of you. Same with recipes and things like that. There's a lot of times that that screen, I'm sure, is going to come in very useful.
Right. And, they have a deal where you can buy two. I don't know about that. But no, it's Amazon. They have, and so far, for those of you just joining us for whatever reason, um, we just talked about the Amazon Look, which is, again, a $200 new camera. It's not out to the public just yet, but it's going to be, kind of a wardrobe kind of deal. It's the use case is, I'm sure, going to broaden. Amazon Show, and then of course the Amazon Dot and the Amazon Echo. But and then just real quick, Sandy, how would you kind of fit Fire TV and the whole Fire thing into the lineup as well?
Fire TV is great as a TV streamer. It does very well. It also has Alexa built in. So you can talk to Alexa, you can have her find you the category that you want, find the movie that you want. Um, and it's very good, but it's not integrated with your other Alexa devices. So you're just listening to that as something separate. Now, my Alexa is integrated, I have it integrated with my Harmony remote, which we talked about a few months ago.
Hmm?
And with the Harmony remote, she can not only turn the television on and off, but she can play music through it. So I don't have need for the Fire TV anymore on that TV, which is interesting. But it is an inexpensive device. I think the stick sells for $99.
Right.
And then they have the bigger one, which is 4K enabled. So I think the new sticks are 4K enabled as well.
Quite
Which is an
possibly.
important thing if
Yeah.
if you have a 4K TV, you want to get a streaming stick that can produce 4K because there's a lot more 4K coming out in Netflix and these other things lately.
Right, exactly. So, and again, goes to the idea that you can, if you are thinking about buying a digital assistant, again, finish the show first. But yeah, these things get better. New technology comes out, and the software updates make it better all the time. So,
Right. And the software updates are done automatically. They're done during the night. You don't even know it. You get up in the morning and she can do new things. For instance, they just announced, Amazon just announced that this calling other devices and all that, the
mhm.
telephone type video calling is going to be available, not the video because the regular Echoes don't have video, but it's going to be available to regular Echo devices too.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and that's going to be very helpful. And I
Right.
think,
And I didn't pay anything extra for it. They just put it on there. And that's how it's been with both the Echo and the Google Home, um, where they keep adding a functionality. I'll get up in the morning, oh boy, they can do something they couldn't do yesterday. It's really amazing.
it's functionality added, and also, let's face it, um, not all functionality is going to be as useful as ordering a pizza. But as companies jump on, I think everyone is trying to figure out, if you're a light bulb maker, if you're a speaker maker, if you are a door lock manufacturer, they're all thinking, how do we get on board this, this digital assistant? Because I was just listening to the radio the other day, and NPR, if I must name one, and they said that the digital assistant market is set to double this year alone. Like, admittedly, it's only like 2-3% of all households even have one, but it's set to double this year, and things are looking good.
Oh, definitely. I'm not at all surprised to hear you say it's set to double,
Right.
because, like I said, they're useful, they're fun. It's just great. And Amazon, the thing that Amazon has is that they've been in it for 2 years now. And when they first started off, they started a multi-million dollar, I think it's $100 million that they put into a fund to help developers. and that has really made the Echo skyrocket.
It really
Because
has.
yeah, because all these other companies are creating Echo devices or Amazon Alexa devices, you might say.
Right.
It's even being put into cars now, the Hyundais, the Fords. You can start your car with Alexa. You can
And
ask how
Sandy.
much
Oh,
gas
yeah.
you have.
Absolutely. And hey, we'll get back. We'll come back and we'll talk about Cortana. We'll talk about Google Home and a few more. We'll be right back. Computer America.
Okay.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 31 minutes past the hour as we continue on here with the one, the only, Sandy Berger. And yeah, we are talking digital assistants in general. And, you know, I really wanted to try to make the show as all-inclusive as I possibly could to kind of take this episode and point anyone who's curious about these devices and say, hey, go listen to, today's show, and you'll learn what's available, at least as of the recording of this show. So, yeah, and I think we've pretty much nailed Amazon. We spent half the show talking about Amazon because, in a lot of ways, they are the leaders. I mean, the article that we were just going over yesterday, 70% of all digital assistant devices are Amazon related.
That's
And
right.
yeah, they have a huge market share. And then I think we should move on to the next one, where the next one and with the second most market share is Google Home.
Google Home, right. But Google Home has more than 20% share. And you have to consider that they only came out a couple months ago, 6 months ago.
Right. Yeah.
So they've done phenomenally. They have made a ton of connections with different companies, and just about every week they announce that they're working with more and more devices of various types. Um, I'll tell you, I've been an Amazon Echo lover forever,
hmm
but the Google Home is really turning my head now.
They
Uh,
they have they have a few features that I think really speak to what Google is good at, and that is, and it's kind of their culture. It's what they're known for. They think of innovative things. They have people spend one day every week trying to come up with something new with the pet project. And I think Home, where Amazon, like they have great integration. And again, I think it's what you were just mentioning, the idea that they really help to fund developers with all these different products. But where Google really shines is the fact that they have so much user data. They have so much input. Like, I think they just started allowing people to, or they just made the Google Home able to discern different people just based on their voice. Like, that's really big.
Oh, that's huge. Absolutely huge. You see on the Echo, and this is one of the things that I said is turning my head. On the Echo, you can have different profiles, but you have to say it's me and my husband. You have to say change to Sandy's profile,
hmm
and then ask what can I do today. Where now, and this just happened suddenly last week, I think, the Google Home can discern your voice. So you just train, and training is like saying four sentences or something, is very easy. You just train your voice and your husband's voice and whoever else you want, and it will recognize. So I ask Google Home, give me my appointments today, it gives me my appointments. If my husband asks, it gives his appointments. And that's really big, especially in families and groups where there's so much going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Every family.
and and even if it's not kind of discerning individual voices, at the same time, this is the precursor to the idea of security with digital assistants, because I can't tell you how many times we hear a different news story about so and so news anchor said live on the air, bleep 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 bleep, and he activated 10,000 different devices and ordered something, or did something. Like, the
Right.
fact that you can't really discern, like these devices really can't discern, they they're very susceptible to mistakes. They're very susceptible to just being
That's right.
activated erroneously.
Right. And that's where Google is ahead as well, because Alexa is the wake word for the Echo.
Right.
But with Google, you have to either say "Hey Google" or "Okay Google," and those are two phrases that you don't hear on TV. You hear them talk about Google, but nobody says "Hey Google," so it doesn't get turned on as easily accidentally.
Right.
In other words, I can talk about my Google Home and I can say the Google Home this and the Google Home that. If I say the Google Assistant, that's no problem. But if I start talking about Alexa, she'll start listening and trying to help me. So that is another thing, that reason that I like it. Google Home has also just recently made some very big branches into the kitchen, which is amazing. You can now they have connections with like thousands of recipes.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so you can get a recipe for anything you want. You can also go on your smartphone and get up a recipe and send it to Google Home. So any recipe that you find on most of the websites, like Epicurious, or those that, are have this sent to Google Home, you send the recipe and then Google Home will read the recipe to you. You can stop it, you can repeat, you can say, give me that ingredient again. You can have like a conversation with her while you're cooking hands free,
I
which
feel
is
like, yeah, and I feel like this really does tie into what Google does by trade, and that is they, they are a search engine company. Well, first of all, they're an ad company, but they do search engines, and over the past couple of months, over the past couple of years, they've really been trying to refine the idea of when you type something into Google, it doesn't just give you 10 links. It tries to give you the answer before you even click on a link. And
right.
I feel like when you kind of take that technology and you mix it with a digital assistant, like, it doesn't just kind of point you to to a website. It the Google Home is going to try to give you the information as simply as possible.
That's right. Yeah, and being Google, they seem to think about everything. So right when that happened, I looked at the list of new companies that were working with Google Home, and one of them was Anova, which is a sous vide cooker. Have you gotten into sous vide at all?
I have, we had them on the show. They sent us one. I've been using it ever since. I just used it the other day. We
Oh,
have the sous vide supreme. We have not had a Nova on the show, but essentially same idea for anyone out
same thing.
there.
hmm
You vacuum seal meats or vegetables or whatever you want to cook it at relatively low temperatures for relatively long times, and yeah, it's a different way to cook tender meals. It's
Yeah.
different, right?
Yeah. So that's what I mean. They put things together very well. Now, let me also say there are other differences between Google Home and the Amazon Echo.
Right.
And one of the biggest differences to me is in the music. First of all, I think the Google Home device itself sounds just slightly better than the Echo. They're close,
Mm-hmm.
but it sounds slightly better. However, with the addition of Chromecast devices, you can buy a $35 Chromecast dongle for your TV,
Right.
or it can have Chromecast built in, which a lot of TVs do now. And you can say, "Hey Google, play The Crown from Netflix," and she can turn the TV on. She can play the the the, the video that you requested, And if you pause it and then start it again later the next day, she can go right to where you left off, which is really cool.
So she and well, I mean, it's so easy to personify these personalities. They are
Right.
digital assistants. There is no one listening to you. It's just
Right.
a computer. But you're saying that for media in general, you'd kind of give the edge to Google Home.
Right, especially for music, if you have any Chromecast devices, or again for for $35, you can buy a Chromecast audio device and turn an old radio into a speaker. Okay, and Google Home can handle that speaker. So I've kind of gone hog wild, Ben. I really have. My husband is finally telling me to stop. Um, but I have a Chromecast. I have a Sony AV recorder receiver,
Mm-hmm.
and that has Chromecast built in. I have a Chromecast Ultra on my TV, and then I have two Sony speakers that have Chromecast built in. Plus, I have other speakers that have a couple of these dongles, Chromecast audio dongles on. So basically, I can get music through my whole home and backyard, the same music. Now, this is one thing that Google Home does very well, and Amazon does not. With Amazon, you can play different music on different devices, but you can't sync the music. With Google Home, you can.
Right.
So I tell Google Home what to play from my playlist, or from mine, from YouTube, from Spotify, wherever, and she'll play it. And I tell her which devices to play it on. She can play on everything in my house or just specific devices that I choose.
And as someone who has messed with their fair share of audio equipment, that is not something you want to spend a couple days figuring out. Like, if it just works, that is the best thing in the world.
Yeah, for the most part, it just works. It's again, all this stuff, to really take advantage of it, you have to take some time and you have to figure things out. For instance, when I hooked up my Harmony remote,
Mm-hmm.
um, on Alexa, I couldn't get her to turn the TV on. She just wouldn't do it. And then I finally realized, after looking at more and more things, that I had a Fire TV. And when I said TV, she was turning on the Fire TV. So
Oh.
I had to go back to Alexa and say, Alexa, turn on the television, and then she'll turn it on.
Mm.
Okay, interesting. Now, Google has recently announced that they also work with the Harmony remote, and they do work very well. But with the Google Home, I have
Right.
to say, Google, ask Harmony to turn on the television or TV. I can say TV to him now,
Right.
and then she'll do it. So each device is a little different, and even if they say they can control the same thing, it can be easier or a little bit more difficult depending on which device you have. And sometimes there's no way to know how it's going to be till you try it.
Yeah, and that's something that I think all the companies are working on. And when it came to voice activated technology before digital assistants, you had people kind of had to learn how to talk to their devices. And I think what Google's doing, what Amazon is doing, they're spending a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of research in teaching their devices to speak to people. All these companies want it to be a very natural experience. They don't want you to have to learn the commands, learn the vocabularies. They kind of just want you to walk into a room and go, Google, what's the weather like tomorrow? And it just tells you. I mean, that's what they want.
And it's improving day by day. That's one thing that Google Home brought into it. Google Home can do more conversational things. By that, I mean, if you say, hey, Google, who's the president of the United States? She'll respond and tell you the president. And then you can say, how tall is he? And she'll respond.
Mm-hmm.
She knows that you're still talking about the president. You don't have to again say, how tall is the president of the United States?
Right.
So when Google came out, she could do that automatically, and Alexa could not. But guess what? Now Alexa, in many cases, can do the same thing. So they're emulating each other. They're learning as they go, and they're all going to get better and better. As a matter of fact, they just announced that Alexa has now learned how to whisper
Oh yeah.
and put certain intonations into her voice. So when she asks a question, she can change the intonation so it's a question. So making it not sound so computerized as it was before. Now, I haven't heard that yet. They just made that announcement, and it's going to have to be written into the apps that want to use it.
Right.
But I think that's going to be very interesting as well.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going. It's getting better and better.
Yeah, the idea of a conversation that you have with your computer. I mean, I think a lot of them are banking on, people don't really, for a lot of tedious things, they don't want to sit down at their computer and order something off of Amazon, or they don't want to sit down at their computer and look something up. They just want to say, "Hey, blah blah blah," and blah 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 does it. It's definitely getting there. So Google Home, and again, we're showing it on the website, and we have a link to it in the show notes. But what are we looking at kind of price-wise for this compared to the Amazon lineup?
Google Home sells for $129, and right now it's got a Mother's Day special of $15 off, and that's through Google, through Best Buy, and all their major suppliers.
Right.
Actually, Newegg has one where they not only give you $15 off, but they give you I think it's a $10 gift card for future use. So,
Very cool.
yeah, you can get it for almost a little bit over $100, which really isn't bad.
Yeah.
And now we also have to talk, Ben, about the things that are coming. Oh, they're coming so quickly.
Right. And I'm sure you are, of course, implying the like I really want to say she is the redhead stepchild, but like she had so much promise, and then they kind of dropped her. And of course, I'm referring to Microsoft and Cortana, where Cortana was supposed to be this next generation digital assistant that was built into every Windows 10 machine. She was going to change the way that we use computers. And I don't know about you, Sandy, but personally, I turn her off immediately. Like she really doesn't have that much use for me when it comes to computers. So I'm assuming when you talk about things coming, I'm assuming you talk about Cortana coming into more devices.
Yes, Cortana is going to be coming into more devices, and in September, Microsoft is going to make a bigger push for Cortana in all computers so that they can be useful in computers throughout the house. Now, I think part of the problem is that people who are used to using computers are not used to. Cortana has been getting better and better. When Windows 10 first came out, it's kind of iffy.
Hmm.
She has gotten better, and I still don't use her that much. And I think that's just habit because I'm used to typing in what I want, and I'm used to talking to Alexa or talking to Google Home. I'm not really used to talking to my computer. And I think that's borne out by the statistics because something like only 20 some percent of the people who use Windows 10 actually are using Cortana.
And just to be clear, I think that number is even inflated even more because I'm not just saying like in my group of friends, but Cortana took the place of the search bar. So if you ever use a search bar on your computer, you are technically using Cortana, but you're not really using her for anything more than again, a search bar.
True, very true. And so I think Microsoft has made this promise already that they're going to get into these different devices, and of course HP and others are already working with them. So there will be a lot of new devices with Cortana that will be useful in the kitchen and in various rooms of the house. I see that coming very clearly. And the first one is called the Invoke,
Hmm.
and that is by Harman Kardon. And it's in combination, of course, with Microsoft. Now, this kind of amazes me because this company is owned by Samsung.
Really?
And yeah, would think that Samsung would have gone with their Bixby, who we haven't even talked about yet. But Bixby is the voice assistant for the new Galaxy 8 phone.
Hmm.
And yet they haven't done that. They've gone with Microsoft, but I think it's probably from Microsoft. As you said, Microsoft has to get out there and get Cortana in a bunch of different devices.
Right.
And this device, which looks very much like the Echo, the original Echo, is supposed to be coming out this fall. We don't know very much about it yet, so I
Well,
can't even tell you
right.
the price.
Right. Well, they do have a website up. We have a link to it in the show notes. But they do very general statements. It's captivating Harman Kardon sound, voice control, so you can control your
Hmm.
music with your voice. You can get things done with Cortana, as they say. I don't know what that means, but no, I think this is going to be kind of like Cortana's. Like, you think every single Windows 10 PC would be Cortana's. Here's your digital assistant moment, but I think the idea of having that little standalone, speaker silo or a dedicated device to your digital assistant seems to be catching on more than your digital assistant is in every computer.
Right. And there's no doubt that there's going to be other standalones like this. There already are, a lot of them dealing with Alexa. Um, but the question then becomes, should I wait? Should I not get into this now because something better is coming? And the answer really is don't wait. This stuff is cheap enough that you can get into it. You can actually, if you've got an iPhone, you can try out Alexa through the Amazon app we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
You can try it out and see what you think. Buy a few light bulbs or switches or whatever, and see what you think. But it's something that's coming. It's the thing of the future, and I don't see much reason for waiting to buy it. Also, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the same companies like Philips or uh, who else?
They're
Wemo, all of them, like the big ones.
right.
They're they're going to be able to be used with no matter which ecosystem you go with. In other words, whether you go with the Echo or you go with Microsoft or whoever you go with. So I think you can change it out easily enough in the future if you try one and you don't like it.
Yeah, that is something that I think a lot of companies are really are really hoping for, is that right now there are a few dedicated ecosystems. It's definitely gotten better since 2-3 years ago when there was Zigbee, Z-Wave. Only certain things worked with certain things.
Right.
It's certainly gotten better, and it's probably going to continue to get better. But again, the idea is which one are you going to buy into? So Harman Kardon, Invoke, like you said, we don't know much about it, but you have another one here, and it's in the same vein where Microsoft's Home Hub, where if it's a connected device, if a device is connected to the internet, that's what we mean, then any
Hmm.
other kind of internet connected device should be able to control it. So what is Microsoft hoping to do with Microsoft Home Hub?
Microsoft is hoping to have Windows 10 computers or tablets in various rooms of your house. Instead of the Echoes, they want you to have HP devices or whoever will come out with these devices. And they will not only have Cortana to answer questions, to play music, to do all the other things that the assistants can do, but they will also have the ability as a home hub to control all of the fixtures and the internet connected devices in your home. So it's going to make the computer, every Windows 10 computer, kind of like having an Echo or a Google Home.
Right.
But each one of these has something really special in it. Um, so with Google, it's the music to me. I love the way you can play music, sync through the home and all that.
Mhm.
Um, for Amazon, it is the shopping, but they have other features that are also excellent. This Invoke should have great speakers, I would think. I love the company. We'll see what they come up with. There's going to be decisions, but it's all fun and it's moving very quickly.
It is moving very quickly, and and I think we should take just a moment to kind of talk about some of the missteps that these companies have taken, because we have a lot of upsides. We've been very optimistic about these devices, but if we could just talk just for a second, I know that Amazon ran into this, Google ran into this. Sometimes, like, I don't think they've really figured out advertising on these devices, because sometimes they play things, sometimes it's unprovoked, sometimes you have to, they try to, kind of blend it in with what you're searching for. Have you ran into anything maybe you don't like? Maybe some of these ads I was just talking about. Is there anything about, these that you don't like?
Well, of course, the thing I don't like is having to pay to get the ads removed. And that's everybody's gripe.
Right.
Like Pandora, it used to be no ads, it used to be free music, wonderful. But now, if you want to remove the ads, you have to pay to do that. And, these companies are giving you a lot. When you consider that they're upgrading these automatically and letting them do more and more things for you, they are giving you a lot. So it's hard for them to determine how exactly to make money on all these devices. With Amazon, obviously, that's why they came out with this Look device, because they're trying to push people into buying more apparel.
Hmm.
Um, and they all have the reasons that they do things the way they do them is to make money. And they're companies. I can't blame them. I want them to make money,
Right.
but I want them to make me happy as well.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, there is a financial side to this, but I think at the same time, you're right. This is new territory, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, you get to do a lot of new and different and cool things. So yeah, so just a quick overview for anyone. Welcome into the Computer America Show. If you're just listening, go back and listen to the whole show. Shame on you. But but we have covered the Amazon and their entire lineup. We of course have the Google Home. And by the way, between the Google Home and the Chromecast, are those the only devices kind of in the Google Home lineup?
No, Google is working with all sorts of companies. So in other words, they work with the Harmony Remote, they work with the Wemo switches, they work with I think they work with Uma and all these other things as well.
Okay.
So um, they're increasing the companies that they work with exponentially.
Right. Okay. So yeah, there's Google, and they, again, both are very admirable. And then, of course, that upstart little company, Microsoft, is looking to jump back into it. And also, wow, Sandy, we have like 2 minutes. Can you do it? Bixby. What is Bixby?
Bixby is Samsung's voice-controlled artificial intelligence, and they are being built into the the S8 Galaxy S8 phones. Now that was supposed to be done on release. It hasn't been put in yet, so they're having some delays on it. It's supposed to be better because it can control devices like the camera and things like that. Will you be able, instead of pressing a button to take a picture, you'll be able to say, "Hey, Bixby." Oh, there'll be a Bixby button on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and that will invoke Bixby, and then you can use it there. I have not heard of any other places that Samsung is using Bixby, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to hear of something soon.
Right. It's this strange thing, and we've talked circles around them, but they are another competitor, and they're the Apple HomeKit. And again, we
Oh
are
yeah,
just
we
running so
see.
short.
Okay, Apple HomeKit has a lot going for it, and I'm expecting within the next couple months, Apple announcements are going to come for a dedicated Apple device.
Right, yeah, and a dedicated Apple device. So we have Bixby, and I think Bixby is Samsung's answer to Siri more than anything. It's not the answer to the Echo; it's the answer to Siri. But again, between Cortana, between Bixby, between Siri, between Amazon, between Google, I think they're all kind of, and you can speak to this. Do you think they're all kind of heading to the same place? This idea that, hey, you're going to be using a digital assistant at some point.
Definitely. I do think most everybody is going to be using a digital assistant at some point in the near future, because they're just becoming more and more useful. And as I said, the word is ubiquitous. We used to talk about
90
computers
seconds.
being ubiquitous. Well, now we're talking about digital assistants being ubiquitous. They will be everywhere. They will be built into so many things that people will start to get extremely comfortable in using them.
Right.
And each device, though, each manufacturer is going to go its own way in trying to monetize these devices, and that's going to take them into different directions, which is very interesting. Different directions as far as what they're
60
offering
seconds.
on their machines.
Right. And of course, speaking of monetizing things, Sandy, what are you up to? What are you doing? And if people want to hear more from Sandy Berger, where can people go?
Well, visit me at the Compu-Kiss website. That's COMPUKISS.com. And I have kind of had a lull in my writing there lately, but I will be picking it up for the summer and hopefully starting my newsletter again and getting things going. You can also find a lot of the stuff that I talk about on this show on a website called Hardware Secrets, hardwaresecrets.com. Just look for Sandy Berger or look down through what everybody's written on it. It's a great website too.
Perfect. And yeah, we are just flat out of time. Sandy, thank you so much and can't wait to talk to you next month.
10
Same time, same
seconds.
place. Everyone, we'll catch you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Sandy, once again, thank you. And bye, everyone else.
Okay, bye.